We just have a little surprise. As you know, the playwright here, Carmen Rivera, somewhere in here, and I would like to invite her on the stage. We want to give Carmen this is design. In March. So, and then we have a copy of La Gringa in English, which they don't publish anymore, I hear. So you have had signatures and passages from anybody.
They publish it, but not with the cover of the Taino.
With not this cover. What do I know? So, everybody here from the cast and the crew and the staff at American Stage, we are welcoming you. Thank you so much.
Actually, yes and no, because I love lights. So I feel I'm a writer for lights. And I'm actually, when I think about the world that's going to exist on stage with my stories, I think minimalism. So this has been actually a nice departure for me, because when Tatiana showed me the set, the pictures of the set, I was blown away. I said, well, you don't have to be a minimalist all the time. So I'm so thrilled with this set, I really am. But I usually do, I really think of lights. I think lights, I just love lights and how they create mood and energy in the theater and how they can transport you, transport the audience. So I think lights are really important. And by the way, the lighting design with this set is incredible. So I'm really excited. I'm so excited for this bilingual production. When I first heard that they were going to do an English and Spanish combination, I was like a little confused, but in reality, that's how we do speak. We code switch, we go back and forth in between Spanish and English, and I think the script that was prepared for this production is astounding. It flows so well, you don't even feel the changes between the Spanish and the English. There's just a really great fluid rhythm to the script, and I'm so proud. The very first draft of La Gringa was written in English. There was one character, the Uncle Victor, who did not speak English. He only spoke Spanish. And when Maria, the main character, spoke to him, she spoke in English, and they had whole conversations with him speaking Spanish, with Victor speaking Spanish and Maria speaking English, because that was the way I grew up with my grandmother. I completely understood her in Spanish. She completely understood me in English, but we spoke our first languages. So I wanted that in the play. When Spanish Repertory in New York picked it up, it had to be in Spanish. I'm like, but Maria doesn't speak Spanish. So what I did was the first 3 scenes, Maria didn't speak Spanish that well. And then the director was like, by scene 4, she has to speak better Spanish. And actually, it was really deliberate. I made sure that Maria never spoke in the subjunctive tense in the Spanish version, because that's a very hard tense for Spanish speakers to learn. I'm sorry, oh my God, that's a very hard tense for Spanish learners to learn, especially if you hear Spanish around you and you're English dominant and English is your first language. Learning the subjunctive tense is so hard. So we actually went through the entire script in Spanish, and Maria never speaks in the subjunctive tense. So there was a lot of thought put into the Spanish version. Honestly speaking, it is strange because I'm still a living writer, so we're always at the end of new work. We're always at the beginning of new work. So I'm used to being in the room, but with La Gringa, there's a trust. I've been very blessed that this place has had a life and has given me a beautiful life in the theater. And it was a little scary, but I had met Tatiana in New York and I had seen work she had done. The director, Tatiana Marie Carlo, and we already had dialogue about her plans. So when I came in, it just felt really natural for me to come in. And we had a Zoom the week before I flew down to Florida. Tatiana set up a Zoom for all of us to meet, and it was a great, great meeting, and they asked wonderful questions, and we got along really well. So I felt a little strange, and then once I got here, I felt like I came home in a way, so I feel good. The character of Norma is actually based on two women in my family, my grandmother and my aunt, and both didn't have a chance to live their dreams. So I think living dreams is such a profound concept in our society because there's one part of society that tells you you don't have the right to live your dreams, and there's the other part of society that says you should live your dreams and go for everything and it doesn't matter, and they don't tell you how hard it is to live your dreams. So I decided to combine them together, combine the experiences of my aunt and my grandmother together to create Norma, about somebody who, in a way, like the Langston Hughes poem, you know, a dream deferred, what happens? It's a raisin in the sun. So, and it does happen. She has so much bitterness. So Norma's journey in the play is to lose that bitterness and to discover the love that she has around her. And then for Maria, not feeling like she belongs anywhere, I think by the end of the play, she realizes it doesn't matter to belong anywhere. And I think that's something for me. I don't know if I could write La Gringa now, because I really feel like I'm from everywhere and nowhere, and that's okay, because wherever I am, I can just belong. And what does belonging mean anyway? And who decides who belongs? And I think the young folks now, I guess with people will, when they see this interview, they'll know when this happened. With all the different binary paradigms collapsing around us, there's a whole new definition of what self means. And that's so exciting to me. And that's why I don't know if I could write La Gringa again. But I do feel at the end, Maria discovers whatever she was looking for is inside herself, so she doesn't have to go look any further. I say, open up to the adventure. Open up your heart, because theater is not just about the word. It's also about the experience, about the energy, about the lights, about the movement of the characters. For myself, I love seeing plays in other languages. Go for it. We say in Spanish, tírate, throw yourself in, like throw yourself into the deep end of the pool. It's not even the deep end of the pool, it's just the pool. I mean, I think I teach a lot of drama as a teaching artist, and I've taught, and in New York, there's the Russian community, the Ukrainian community, the Chinese community, and there's always these different languages that are you hear and that are part of their daily experience. So I think the fact that American Stage has decided to put this, and it's the premiere of the first bilingual production because it's never happened. I think it's exciting. I think it's expanding the experience of how language exists in the theater, and it's exciting. That is $1 million question. I know that that's a hard thing. I don't have the answer per se, but I think by having diverse programming, and I know the word diversity is thrown around a lot, but not just ethnicity or race, aesthetic, absurd theater, musicals, classical theater, and then classical Spanish theater, or classical theater from Nigeria. I teach a play called Death and the King's Horseman by Wole Soyinka. I think, yes, there is a move to diversify the programming, and I think it's an exciting time because the audience wants it. I think the audience wants it, and I know you mentioned, a white theater or white, we can't be afraid to say those words. We have to say the Latino theater, the white theater, LGBTQ theater, like we just have to say that. And I think when we expand how we discuss our audience and the community we want to share in the theater, I think that the answers will fall there. I wish I had the answer, because then I'd be gazillionaire.
It's a question with no answer.
Right.
It's a question with a conversation.
And I think the conversation has begun. And I think the more, every so often you would have an Angels in America come, or a Hamilton come, and then that opens up the conversation, and then it's hard to well, what do we do with the conversation? And I think understanding that it has to continue going, and the programming does have to address the needs of the audience. And what with the audience, I find that audiences are much more open than perhaps the institutions. I don't know if I should say that, but I think, being here, being hosted very beautifully by American Stage, I think that the fact that institutions are asking the questions will meet with the audience. I think the audience is really grateful for that. It's been really emotional for me to be here. I've been very blessed with the life of La Gringa, but I haven't seen the play in a while. And then to see it in the bilingual form, it just reminds me of an authentic voice that lives in diaspora. And I don't know even why this is coming to my head. I'm thinking of Fiddler on the Roof when they're leaving. And he tells the fiddlers to come. So he's gonna go with them. And I think that we're all living that experience now. What do we take with us? And theater's an expression of our experience. So, I'm just really thrilled to be part of that. I'm reconnecting with different parts of, conversations with my grandmother, and conversations with family members, and some of my cousins who don't speak Spanish, and some of my cousins who don't speak English. So, I don't have a clear idea. It just feels really warm in my heart, and I feel like I'm living a reality that I'm living an experience that I had kind of forgotten about. So I'm really grateful to this production.